Okay, welcome back for our second video. What we are doing today is hopefully by the end you'll be able to say I can use the distributive property. So we're going to run into three different levels. We're going to start with some basic ones, then we're going to do some intermediate, and then you're going to do some more advanced. Now, you are responsible for knowing how to do each type, but I am starting you off with basics and moving into harder ones. After each of these pages, if you'd like to do your practice for each type before taking your notes for the second type, and then do the second type of practice before you do the third type, that's fine with me. You get to think about how you're best for learning. Remember, you can always come back to the video if you start doing the practice and then you're like, oh, I do not remember how to do the more advanced ones. Make sure to come back. So just like last time, you're taking your notes on a piece of paper, you're putting in today's date, and you are writing this title, I can use the distributive property. Okay, once you're ready, be sure to unpause. So pause if you need to take a second to do that. Unpause when you're ready. And let's get started. So we're going to start with the most basic one first. Let me get a different color pen here. You've learned the distributive property before, and this is what you know how to do, hopefully. So when you have something in parentheses, remember this is called a polynomial, and we have a number out in front, we're going to multiply that number by each of the terms inside the parenthesis. So this 8 is going to be multiplied by the 10x. Now our coefficients get multiplied together. So our 8 is multiplied by the 10. 8 times 10 is 80. And the x is still hanging out here with it. Our 8 is going to get multiplied by our second term. Don't forget to include the sign. So this is a positive 8 times the coefficient negative 3. 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. And then our x is hanging out. You know what? This should have been an x squared, and I wrote it wrong, so just fix it in your notes. So this x squared just hangs out. This x just hangs out. And now we're going to multiply this 8 times our constant, which is a 1. 8 times positive 1 is 8. So that's your most basic way to do this. Make sure to pause and write down this example. If you'd like to pause this and go do the practice for this section, you can do that and then come back. So here we are for our kind of level 1 for this. And the big difference here is that now we are dealing with some monomials out front. This one's more basic, but there's a little bit of trickiness right there. Okay, on the basic level, we had a simple number out front, an 8. In our more advanced one, we actually have a variable out here or a monomial. So our x is getting multiplied by our first term, negative 3x. This time, since we don't have a coefficient in front of this x, we're going to pretend that this is a 1. So 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And x times x, remember we add these coefficients, or these we add these exponents. 1 plus 1 is 2. So this is x squared. Okay, you can do that with the exponent method. X to the 1 times x to the 1 is x to the 1 plus 1, which is 2. Or you can just think about it, x times x is x squared. Okay, now we're going to multiply this x times our constant back here at the end. So 1 times 2 is 2. And x, there are no other x's, so this x is just going to come down. All right, let's do another example. I'm going to do this one in a different color just to make sure that it stays separate for you guys. So here this time we do have a coefficient here and we have a variable. So just like before, I'm going to multiply it by the first term. So my negative 2 is multiplied by my 6. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. X times x is x squared. Now I'm going to multiply it by my constant, or my second term. Negative 2 times negative 1, we have a negative times a negative, so this is positive. Okay, and it's going to be a 2x. Negative 2x times negative 1 is positive 2x. Because our negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2, and then our x does not get multiplied by anything else, so it just comes down, just like this one did up here. All right, and now we have our third example. Let me switch colors again. This time is more like our first basic examples because we don't have an x here, but we are going to do this negative 9 times negative 1. It's a negative times a negative, so it is positive. And then we have our negative 9 times negative 3x squared. So negative 9 times negative 3 is plus 27. And then we don't have an x here, so our x squared just comes down. So notice, okay, that in all of these examples, if we have an x, okay, our x's get multiplied together. If we don't have an x in one of the terms, then it just stays what one of them was. So whether it's out here at front, it comes down, or whether it's down here on the inside, it comes down. So again, make sure to write all three examples. You can choose to do this practice if you want, or you can wait and do all three practices at the same time. Okay, and hopefully you are ready for this last section. So this one gets into really the meat of what I want you to learn. The others hopefully were review that you've seen before. But what happens out here when we have something with an x squared? We want to make sure that we know how to do those. So again, we're going to multiply by the first term, and then we're going to multiply by the second term. But you'll notice that you have to really think about these exponents more this time. So we have a silent 1 out here. So 1 times 5 is 5. And x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. We add the exponents together. 2 plus 2 is 4. Now we're going to do the second term. Okay, our coefficients are getting multiplied together. 1 times 7 is 7. 7x has a silent 1 as an exponent. So my x squared times x to the power of 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. And let's do one more example. So again, we're going to multiply our 2x squared, this time times negative 2x squared. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. X squared times x squared, we're going to add those exponents together. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing for the second term. 2 times 9 is 18. X squared times x to the 1 is x to the 3rd power. Okay, so hopefully now you can say, I can use the distributive property. And let me know if you have any questions. Go do your practice.